We're all ready here?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. With that, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? I'll go to administration first.
Reeve, just one addition in the closed session, Hilltop Acre subdivision.
So closed session.
Yes, sir.
So that's 16C, Hilltop Acre discussion. Any other additions? Pardon me, Kara?
FOIP section 25.
Anything from councilors? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda with the one amendment. Dallas?
I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Discussion, all those in favor? It's carried unanimous. The minutes of council meeting August 20th. Any errors or omissions, Donna?
No, I move to adopt the council minutes for August 20th meeting.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Carrie, you got your light on for something?
We have a presentation.
The very first one, the wedding?
Yeah.
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. Little too late, 50 years? Huh? I'm sure you wouldn't have made a different decision. Well, we want to congratulate you. Who's making the presentation? This is in your area, Donna?
It's in mine.
It's in yours, Kara? Okay. All right, so we'll get you folks to come up here and we'll make a presentation to you folks. We usually do it in front of here. I'll move out of the way so Kara can give the presentation. Awfully young. That's why I said they must have got married when they were 12. You wonder sometimes how a city of Calgary, they probably never do this stuff. It's probably, well, when you got 1.3 million people, the whole day. All right, we got lots of work to do. I'm going to go to Rudy. Anything you want to highlight in the follow-up action list there, Rudy?
Just one item, Reeve, at the last meeting, Councillor Westerland spoke about a speed posting issue in Sunset Acres.
Right.
Administration attended and viewed the situation. The speed sign has been updated to 30 kilometers an hour. The residents are happy, and that's been completed.
Okay, great.
There was consideration that we may have to adjust the bylaw, given that it was a speed change. The residents were amenable to a yellow 30-kilometer-an-hour sign, which does not require a bylaw change.
Okay, because that's not technically a legal sign either. It's, message is still there. Okay, well, that's great. That's done. Thanks. One more thing off the action list. So we are on the CAO report. What have you got to report for us today, Rudy?
Nothing to report today, Reeve.
Okay. Do you like being called Rudy, or do I call you the CAO?
Whatever you prefer.
Cow? How do you pronounce CAO? Cow?
Chow? Cow?
All right, I'll call you Rudy, if you don't mind. All right, we've got delegations, but that's not till 10. Planning and development, that's not till 10. No public works, no fire services, a motion to adjourn. Finance, Colin, you must have been reading my mind.
I did, yeah, up early today. Good morning, Council. On page 58 of your agenda, you'll find the bank reconciliation as of July 31st, 2024. We have also included on page 59 a little bit of a summary of some long-term investments as well, too. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I would request the information, or it be received for information.
Any questions, folks? Well, go ahead, Glenn.
Not a question, just thank you.
Oh, no
This
problem.
was very well done. I move to accept the Brazeau County investment summary for July 31st, 2024 for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. General matters, back to school annual pack giveaway. Lee, is that you?
I can speak to that. Yeah, you see on page 60 there. I know that the White Bull every year does a backpack giveaway, and what's happened is they went to town council and they waived the portion, but they didn't want to waive Brazeau County's portion because of the cost sharing. So I guess what we're asking is it okay if we waive the rent for this event, you know, because they've only done half the amount the town has waived it. They didn't want to waive the other half, being with the rec cost sharing agreement. If you're okay with that?
I think that should be fine, but I gotta go to oh, there's Kara, she's got a light on.
Thank you, Reeve. I was just going to add some information. I attended this year. There was just over 500 students that received backpacks and items for school. It's done purely on donation, and I did talk to Mr. Ichite after, and he said every dollar raised every year is spent that year, so they try not to carry any money over, so he was not planning for this cost when he planned it, so he would be personally out of pocket for it. But like I said, there was nearly 500 kids, and then parents were there too as well. It was in the curling rink, actually pad this time because there was so many people. So very, very well attended. This is hugely supported by businesses in this community, so I think a $330 waiving of the fee is minimal compared to what else went on that day.
Well, and I think we actually fought for the town to do this, is to not give away our portions and take all the credit. So they're actually following through. So in a way, we've got to be thankful for the town that they at least recognize our concern and is asking us for the same thing that they give away. Cody?
Yeah.
So while I agree with you, it's, nice that they at least considered us. As I'm under the impression, because this event has already happened, the applicant didn't know that they were going to have to come to county council for this $330. And while this particular, do I call it an application? But this particular application might be fine. We might all support it, but let's say we didn't, and now if we don't support it, we're the bad guy. You know what I mean? So I think that we should write a letter to the town, kind of outlining, like, you should let the applicant know that they're only covering their half and that they're going to have to go to the county for the other. That the event's over. If we didn't support it, now they don't have the money. So those are my thoughts. I guess, I don't know, we'll see where that goes.
Anthony?
I don't have any problem with us contributing our half, but I have a question, and that's just goes along the line that kind of might be what Cody's getting at too, and this is then to staff, whoever can answer it. If the town puts in their $330 in this case, and for argument's sake, we didn't, how does that get registered in the books? Because at the end of the day, how is it shown that they take another allotment of cash, general revenue, pay this, so that it doesn't show $330 that they contributed, that's still in our costs of the operations of the Omniplex or whatever, and then we would be paying half of that? I'm just not sure how the realities of that play out. So how would that be carried out? Rudy or someone, can you help me understand that, or Lee? I mean, you kind of work with that department?
Well, I would comment that it's just that much less revenue. It would be $660 less revenue.
Yeah, but that's both of us paying. But what if one of us is only paying, is what I'm saying? Say it's something that we disagree with.
Yeah, unless it be a half-price rental. I'd like to say, talking like what Cody mentioned, this is the kind of thing that should be coming to rec board, and it should have been come beforehand, so then, there wouldn't be the miscommunication. If this had been brought and said, hey, we're looking to waive the fee for the Mackenzie Center, and rec board should have made a motion so we were both on the same page, and then we could have gone to our respective councils and made it at the same time, rather than the town council making it first. And then I know that the White Bull actually, got an invoice for the other half, and, there was lack of communication there. So.
How do you want to deal with this here? It kind of makes sense what Lee is saying, that it maybe should have gone to the rec board, and then they could have made a recommendation to council saying that we believe that this should be split 50-50 between the town and the county. But it should have been done beforehand.
Okay, but Bart, just for clarity for me, I'm still not sure how it would work. Let's say, and just for an example purposes, not this case, say we didn't agree to put our half in, that they were giving the facility and we weren't agreeing. How does that unfold in terms of, how the books are showing it? It's showing the reality.
Maybe Colin Swap would be able to comment on that, but I would have just thought it was being a half price revenue. The other half, that's all it would have showed as 330. That's what I would have thought, unless it's, I know we do in kind, and maybe they have a way of showing it as an in kind.
See, because the way I would use a different example, when the town gives grants to some of the residents for tending things, when it's not a common thing, they have the Roger Coles Fund and we have our own
FinCEN
policy. We're going with two different checks, so then they'll come in a common shoot where, if one pays, the other one doesn't, someone's left behind. But this is a little different, and I guess I would like to know the mechanics of this one, and not for this purpose of this example. I'm just looking at future.
Colin Swap, are you online listening to us?
Do you understand what I'm getting at? There he is. If you could help us understand that, and did you kind of hear what I was saying, please?
Yes, yeah. So for items, as I envisioned, and you would be familiar with this, having been on the rec board there, when the town will give us like the proposal, that essentially it'll put down the, you know, the revenues, expenses, and in the end they'll come down to the total, you know, operating deficit. And then we have a few items subtracted in regards to debentures on Mackenzie Center and things like that. A way that I would request it be put is we could have that included in there as well too. So that way it's coming off our share, but not being just kind of included in the total operating revenue, as Lee mentioned there. Otherwise it would just show a reduction of 660 in the revenue side. What we could have is, we could do it the way we had it. We'd have our 50-50 split, but then we'd also show that 330 taking off what we owe because we didn't
Okay.
agree to it on that part.
Yeah.
So we could, in our kind of a summary of settlement type thing you see often with purchasing homes and things.
Okay, that makes sense. Now that you refresh my memory, I remember us doing that with splitting the cost and taking off their debenture and whatever else might be, but I didn't remember that, so that's why I was trying to refresh it and probably helping the rest of council for that purposes as well. Thank you.
Donna?
Kara, correct me if I'm wrong, but prior backpack giveaways have always been at the schools? No? Where? Oh,
I think it's
I
been, it's
remember
been,
being at the schools.
yeah, it's been done in numerous locations, but I think because the program's gotten so big, that's why they're using the curling rink. And then with weather, obviously, is the other one. I think last year was in the Mackenzie Conference Center, and it wasn't big enough. So I think that's why they moved into the curling pad area, because there was no ice in yet. So, and it's inside, so if it's raining, it's not a big deal. But yeah, in the past, I think it's been done in the parking lot at White Bull. I think he's gone to the schools and done it. I think it's been kind of a combination, but it's getting big and popular, and obviously there's a huge need in the community for it. So they used the curling rink area this time. And I
Well,
think
if
last
we're-
year, and I'm wondering, I'm assuming last year within the Mackenzie Conference Center, it was, the town probably covered the portion, and then obviously because with the change with the rec board this year, I think it's a lesson learned, that we just need to know ahead of time, but, yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to know ahead of time, because then we could all go, or, yeah, it would be nice to know ahead of time.
That's it? Glenn?
I move that council direct administration to waive the county's portion of the facility rent costs totaling $330 for the White Bull Cafe's 2024 Back to School 5th Annual Backpack Giveaway. No, won't go there.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Pardon me? Go ahead, Cody.
I'm thinking that I would like to direct administration to communicate with the town some of the points that we were talking about earlier. So I have a motion prepared, if that's all right.
Sure.
So I move to direct administration to communicate to the town the desire to have a process regarding donations of the shared facility rentals with proper notice given to the county and the applicant.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. We are down to, if I haven't missed anything, we've got all the public hearings to go through. So we are on councilor reports. Anthony?
I move to receive the council reports for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Meeting dates? some sort of analogy between a baseball and the number of stitches in a baseball to something else. There's 138 stitches in a baseball, and there's something else that's relevant to that. I just thought you guys would know. Glenn?
I don't know. About the baseball, no, I don't know. I was just wondering, I'm new to council, are we part of the CAEP, the,
No.
okay, Central Alberta Economic Partnership? Does anyone know anything about this?
No. Kara?
Thank you. Through the REIT to council, I believe this is one of the REITAs, correct? Yeah, so there used to be regional economic development. Somebody help me out with the last two. Authorities. Our region doesn't have one. So if you remember some of the conversations earlier this year, we were looking at maybe joining the northern mayors and Reeves and kind of rekindling some of that stuff. They obviously said no to us joining them. This is the next one to the south of us. So I think it's a great opportunity to go and see what they're doing and maybe see if we can join up with them. So I mean, I think it's up to council, but it's, we don't have one specific to our region. We're one of the very few, actually, I think we're the only region in the province that doesn't have one. Everybody else does. In the past, they were under another name, I think, when I first started in 2010.
Economic development,
Yeah, they've changed names over the year, but ours folded, I want to say, Anthony, help me out, I'm saying kind of around that 2012, 2014 era, ours folded. So unfortunately, it was difficult to do economic. People were wanting things in their backyard and not being supportive of others and trying to steal projects from one area, and it actually got a little bit messy, so. Bart's nodding his head yes. So, but I think it might be a great opportunity on two fronts, to go check out this specific event, but at the same time feel out these members and see if maybe there's an opportunity for the WEC committee or for us to join in with them.
any thoughts, councillors? Glenn?
I just didn't have time to really look at the costs or the registration, I guess, so I'm just not prepared right now for, I'd like to go, I just don't know what the cost would be. You seen that somewhere?
Well, if you remember, we've done something similar. We had a pitch with MLAs about 6 years ago at Leduc, and we had industry doing pitches to the ministers. And we did something similar on another event as well, where you listen to the pitches of different businesses to see, you know, it's kind of like a reverse economic development kind of thing. So. Well, it's actually economic development, not economic development. Oh. It's different. Kara?
We can maybe ask administration to find some more information for us, and then I believe our next meeting is on the 17th. And this is not till the 11th of October, so.
Sure. Sounds good. Make a motion.
What kind of information are we looking for?
Maybe
The cost?
Is
Okay.
the cost and
Okay, thank you. I move to direct administration to reach out to CAPE and see for the cost for their event on October 11th, as well as information about becoming a member.
discussion. All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Wildfire Innovations, Edmonton, September 11th at Enoch. Well, as we were the topic of discussion last year, it might be appropriate to send a few people to it. Glenn?
So, yeah, I had an email from is called Rainstream, and they build a tower, and they can basically pump water at the top of the tower, and it floats across the town. And they can protect up to about basically 1/4 section of land, keep it from catching fire with this unit. And
Is that
so,
the fellow we met at
at the energy show, yeah.
Energy show, yeah, okay.
So they're doing a bunch of different demonstrations in Banff, one in Edmonton and another place, but the Enoch Cree is about the closest one. Unfortunately, they won't be able to demonstrate the unit, but they have it there for us to take a look at and maybe get some more information. And I was really hoping all of council would come and take a look at this, including the CAO and the fire chief. I'd like to get as many eyes on this as possible. I think it would be something that we could buy, and then if other communities like Jasper had something approaching, you could at least have something, right? Or we could partnership in the purchase of this with other municipalities. Or maybe our close neighbors would be interested in getting one of these and getting it set up. Basically, you're not fighting the fire with it, you're just setting it up. So very similar to the way that we purchased the house sprinkler system. We'd have our own guys go out there, set up the hose and the pump and the tower, and turn it on and walk away if there was something. You wouldn't be fighting fire. You're just kind of protecting the town or having something ready to go on a moment's notice.
So it's a rain gun that's up in the air about 50 or 60 feet, just like they use in irrigation. But because it's up high, the wind will carry the drift a lot further and you get a bigger coverage.
It covers and it also cools the area down. So it takes your ambient temperature down almost 4 or 5 degrees. So it just, like I said, during a wildfire, you have lots of spruce needles and things that are falling all over the place that are hot. And this would just be one way to prevent it. A unit's going to cost, that was the kicker, well over $400,000 for one of these. But yeah, like I said, I'd like to go take a look at it anyways. I already will go take a look at it regardless of if we approve this or not, but I'd like council to make a day trip of it.
And this is going to be set up at Enoch?
At the Enoch Reserve. Unfortunately, I did ask the fellow for some sort of a handout. He just gave an invitation, so I'm really disappointed that we didn't have something as far as time and place. So but it made my job much harder when he didn't send anything to accompany this request.
Is that the only thing that's being showcased, or is there other equipment going to be showcased?
That would be the only piece of equipment.
The only piece,
showcased.
just the tower?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to go anyways, but I'm going to move to authorize council's attendance, CAO's attendance, to the Wildfire Innovations Demonstration, September 11th, 2024, at Enoch. And I will get times and everything later.
It's my mother's birthday. It's also the Twin Towers. Okay, Anthony, go ahead.
I just had some questions on it. Not so much the motion as before that, I had a question already. This tower, is it portable? Because the way Glenn's, I'm not sure, it sounds like it's portable, but if that's sufficient that it throws out that far, to me, that would suggest it has to be fairly stable, like fairly solid.
Well, that's where I think Glenn is getting at. Huh?
They have both stationary and mobile, and the mobile one would be the one I'd be interested in. So
Yeah.
if we have an issue at Lodgepole, we could take it to Lodgepole. If it's an issue at Cynthia, we could take it there. Or if something's coming close to Lindale or Breton, we can mobilize this. And it's a quick setup. Within 2 hours, it's all rigged up. Like I said, nobody's standing there to fight fire. It's just, it's a sentry, so it does its job by itself, sort of thing.
Well, in the other places like Lodgepole and some of the other communities, there may be a place where we kind of pre-arrange where it could get set up, depending on which way the wind's blowing, you know, so that you've got access to a point for setup right away. Go ahead, Glenn.
Able to read the motion back, please?
Moved by Glenn Gunderson to authorize council and the CAO to attend Edmonton September 11th or Enoch September 12th.
Does that cover what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, carried unanimous.
Glenn, they have emailed me back. He said he is going to pen, was his word, an invitation, so I'm waiting for more information.
Okay, thank you.
And the fire chief has also expressed
Oh, perfect.
interest in attending
What
as
about
well.
our dam? I did forget that in the motion.
Ryan?
Ryan. I'll just ask, see if it can go. It'd be nice to get as many people there as possible.
All right. Okay, we are, well, we got a half an hour. We can do some enclosed stuff. We can take a 5-minute break and then go in for enclosed in regards to community halls and Wiley West contract. Put them all in there. Who knows what we'll get done in the next half an hour before we have our first public hearing. Somebody want to make a motion? Glenn put it on Hilltop Acres discussion, point 25. Cody?
Move to go into
Order, we need a motion to go into public hearing for bylaw 1186-24. Anthony,
I move that we go into public hearing for bylaw 1186-24.
discussion? All those in favor? A little premature there, Glenn. Voting early. All right, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, Reeve Council. Rezoning application 24A-008, located on pages 20 through 31 of the agenda package, has been submitted to rezone approximately 6.51 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Northeast 1448-8 west of the 5th Meridian, which would allow for the subdivision and consolidation for an enlargement of an existing parcel. The subject lands are located immediately west of Range Road 81, from which all parcels will have access, and south of Highway 620, and that is located on page 22 on the land location map. The application was circulated for review and comments to external agencies, internal departments, and adjacent landowners. External comments were received from TELUS and Fortis Alberta, which advised that they had no concerns, conditions, or setbacks. Internal comments were provided by Public Works and Agricultural Services. Public Works requires that 10.36 meters of road widening along Range Road 81 be dedicated on the remnant parcel, and advised that the required approaches meet county specifications. These comments will be reflected in the conditions of subdivision recommended to the Municipal Planning Commission. Agricultural Services advised of soil conditions but had no concerns regarding the rezoning and subdivision, and no letters of concern were received from adjacent landowners. Policy considerations were set out in the report to Council on August 20th, and confirmed that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the county's municipal development plan and the land use bylaw, and that the lands do not fall within any intermunicipal development plan or area structure plan. Accordingly, bylaw 1186-24 for the rezoning of approximately 6.51 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Northeast 1448-8 west of the 5th Meridian is presented for second and third readings today. Thank you.
Any Any comments? Any special conditions? Donna?
I move second reading. Whoa, 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 what?
We're still in public hearing right now. We have to come out of that. That's okay, we all make little mistakes. Somebody has to make a motion to come out of public, or actually, is there any comments from the gallery or anybody online? Seeing none, a motion now to come out of public hearing. Alice,
I'll move to come out of public hearing for bylaw 118624.
discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Now somebody can make a motion to give second reading. Donna, or then I'll go to you, Kara.
I move second reading to bylaw 1186-24.
Discussion, all those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Anybody want to give third reading?
I move third reading to bylaw 1186-24.
Any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. I can take a lesson from you. Just sit and be quiet and you win. All right, we've got another one at 10:15, but what else can we do? Is there? There really isn't anything else. Meeting back to order here, and we have a presentation from Planning and Development in regards to 49308 Range Road 53. Take it away. Oh, we need a motion to go into public hearing. Anthony?
I move to go into public hearing for bylaw 1187-24.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Take it away.
Thank you. Rezoning application 24A-009, located on pages 32 through 41 of the agenda package, has been submitted to rezone approximately 14.77 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Southeast 2149-5 west of the 5th Meridian, which would allow for the subdivision of equally sized parcels. The subject lands are located immediately west of Range Road 53, from which all parcels will have access, and south of Township Road 494, and that's shown on page 34 on the land location map. The application was circulated for review and comments to external agencies, internal departments, and adjacent landowners. External comments were received from TELUS, Fortis Alberta, and Buck Mountain Gas Co-op, all of which advised that they had no concerns, conditions, or setbacks. Internal comments were provided by Public Works and Agricultural Services. Public Works requires a new approach to the proposed lot be constructed, while the existing approach to the remnant parcel meets county specifications. Road widening of 5.18 meters will be required along the eastern boundary of the existing Lot 1, which will be registered as Lot 3, abutting Range Road 53, and will be recommended as a condition of subdivision to the Municipal Planning Commission. Agricultural Services advised of the soil conditions but had no concerns regarding the rezoning and subdivision, and no letters of concern were received from adjacent landowners. Policy considerations were set out in the report to Council on August 20th and confirmed that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the county's municipal development plan and the land use bylaw, and that the lands do not fall within any intermunicipal development plan or area structure plan. Accordingly, bylaw 1187-24 for the rezoning of approximately 14.77 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within a portion of Southeast 2149-5 west of the 5th Meridian is presented for second and third readings today. Thank you.
Any concerns or questions from council? Any special conditions? Starting to ask that now. No? Okay, any comments from the public? Online or in the gallery? All right, I don't see any, so a motion to come out of public input, or public input. There goes my brain again, I forgot. Pardon me? Yeah, public hearing, thank you. Cody,
I move to come out of a public hearing for bylaw 1187-24.
discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Anthony, your light was on.
Yeah, I want to move, I'm prepared to move second reading to bylaw 1187-24.
Okay, you moved it? Okay. Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Anybody wish to give third reading? Donna?
I move third reading for bylaw 1187-24.
Discussion, all those in favor? It's carried unanimous. Yeah, either way, we're gonna have to take a long break to wait for 1:15. You mean before public input session? Okay, we'll make a motion then, somebody, to go back into in closed. Okay, if council's ready, I'll call the meeting back to order. We'll have to wait for any direction from enclosed till after public input. Public input is upon us right now at 11 o'clock, and it gives the public an opportunity to bring forward any ideas or changes, whether you're here in the gallery to bring up issues, or if you're online. So I'll just go to the gallery right now. Just direct your questions through me, and bring up any issues that you want us to deal with. Are you folks here to talk about some specific issue? Yes. Yeah, come forward. You just gotta state your name for the record. Just speak into the microphone, and let either one you're comfortable with there. Just state your name.
That
and
was a little high.
Too high. All right.
Linda Hibbert. And our concern is the money we paid for an approach, that the policy is within 20 days of application. Now, I am allowed for business days. I paid the money the end of May. And according to my calculations, they should have started construction on the 26th of June. And then I was told, by the way, we won't be getting to it till the end of August. So I mentioned that to our contractor to just build our driveway and wait for you guys to do the approach. And they said, no, don't worry about it, we'll do the approach. Then, when I tell the county that someone will build the approach, we're told, oh, your money's going to be held for a year. Well, the county seems to have two different levels of quality. Up and down the township road we live on, I looked at our approach and all the ones the county built. And it appears as though the ones that the county built is just pile a bunch of clay in the ditch and squish it down till it works. You know, we had approached our counselor about getting a refund, getting our money back. And I just found out today that on July 3rd, he contacted Colin Swap. He covered the $3,200. Colin Swap confirmed it, and he will do a quick pay run to reimburse the Hibberts. Well, we have yet to see any reimbursement or hear about any reimbursement. So we are here requesting our money back because we paid this $3,200 in good faith that we would get something in return for our money and got nothing. And now it's being held, and we're also being told that not entitled to interest. Well, the money does not belong to the county, it belongs to us. So any interest incurred on it belongs to us.
No, I understand. You're making a good argument. Just carry on. We want you to get all your issues out, and then we talk about it and make a decision.
Because I do know that, well, it says here, as a follow-up to yesterday, I just wanted to confirm that we have deposited your check and we'll be doing a quick pay run to reimburse the Hibberts. Well, we haven't heard a word about any reimbursement. And they're confirming that Glenn gave them $3,200 and deposited it. So where's our money?
Right. No, I understand.
Because we're behind on our bills. We couldn't afford to pay that money. It put us behind on our bills. And do you know how demeaning it is when you open your mail box and in big red writing on an envelope it says final notice?
I understand.
Do you know how demeaning it is dealing with that woman at Evergreen Gas Co-op who claims you're out there going out for dinner and doing whatever and not paying your bills? It's very demeaning having to do this. And if we don't get this money back, I am going to tell our creditors to contact you and get the money from you guys.
I understand. I hear you. Is that your whole presentation? Because I just want to open it up to counselors to ask you questions, if that's all right with you.
That's fine.
Okay, Glenn?
I just emailed Colin Swap. It must have got missed, but he's going to follow up with Public Works and then get them to issue a PO. And then on the next pay run, you should be able to get your check there.
When's the next pay run?
But I don't know how often they have pay runs here, but it should be within this month, Linda.
And that's after all my utilities are cut off.
We talked about this a bit, about shortening that time frame from a year to maybe 3 months. There has been no decision, I don't think, or I can't remember, but I don't know why. A lot of times back in the old days, we just picked a time frame, you know, and the argument is that it, you know, there could be some sloughing or something like that on an approach, but that might be a few $100s. We go out of our way to maybe put an extra 50 feet of dust control if it needs to join two properties together. We do lots of things that go over and above what we do. I don't know why we need to have a year. I would think after the approach has been built, a maximum of 3 months, and we should be able to see any indication in 3 months. And if not, what are we out? $500, you know? So I really think some of our policies still need a little tweaking. But I'd like to hear more comments from other people. Donna?
I'm just not sure if I heard right. Did you say that Glenn provided
Yes.
the money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing you have Glenn for a counselor, because
Yes,
I don't know
we
if I
do
could do that.
appreciate that very much, but the county has not followed through and paid us back our money. We're trying to sell this place. My husband had a stroke a year ago, actually a year ago yesterday. We cannot afford to live there.
Where is this at? Bear Lake Road, where
Not
though?
that far west from you, east from you. We're on Range Road 91, Township Road 502.
East from me.
Yep, because you're up there on Range Road 92.
My daughter has 3/4 up there, yes.
Yeah.
Pardon me, Anthony? Red light, Anthony. Anthony, go ahead.
That's up there on the quarter that Heidi used to have. It's one of the acreages off there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And just as to Rudy, I mean, the mechanism has been put in place that their money's been paid, and all they have to do is get the money, the county has to give the money back. Why is that taking so long? That, to me, I don't understand. I know there's the payroll set up, but I mean, this is kind of a, I'm gonna call it above and beyond situation. And so I don't see why a check hasn't been able to be issued. The county isn't out a thing. Glenn's already covered it. So why haven't we done by issuing that check? Why isn't it done?
Reeve, to Councillor Heinrich, administrative oversight on our part. It was simply an opportunity missed by Public Works to initiate the purchase order that would allow finance to issue the check. That has now been done, and the check will be issued next week.
Pardon me?
They're saying that the
Yeah,
check should be there by next
I think
week.
I can make it work, hold off the wolves for another week. Because everybody's giving me cutoff notices.
Because that's where I'm trying to say is that everything's been put in place. Public Works isn't out anything. They just need to have, they should have done their paperwork, in my opinion, to get that out.
I would rather see it today.
Reeve again, if I may. If you give me the opportunity to speak at lunchtime with finance, we may be able to adjust the system and issue the check today or tomorrow.
Okay, so give us a couple of hours and we'll see, he's saying we'll see what we can do.
Okay,
All right, and if you're not satisfied, come in again.
okay.
How's that sound?
I guess that'll have to work.
Okay, thanks for coming in. And
Thank
if we
you.
don't hear about it, things don't change. So, but I'm hearing from administration that there was an oversight, and so they kind of missed it. So,
Okay,
all right,
okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
thank you. All right, is there anybody else got any issues? Online, anybody out there? Anybody listening to us there, Tina? Glenn's online? One person is online? To that one person, you got any issues for council? Okay, last chance. Any issues from the people online? All right, seeing none, we'll come out of enclosed, or out of in public, or public input session. and we'll carry on with some more county business. So then what I see we have to do is we have to go back in close to finish off the discussion. Pardon me? Oh, yeah, we got one motion I guess we can deal with. Somebody has to put it forward. Go ahead, Glenn.
I move that council direct administration to contact the operator regarding the 2 tender items discussed in closed session.
Discussion on that? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. We still have one more thing to deal with, and that was the Hilltop Acres, I believe, in closed. So a motion to go in closed for the Hilltop Acres, FOIP 25.
I move to go in closed for Hilltop discussion, FOIP 25.
Guest here, our new boss. Huh? Yeah. No, come on up. Lee, are you going to introduce him as the new chief? Oh, I need to introduce himself. Okay. Anyway, congrats on getting the position. Thank you. You know, that's a huge step in your career milestones. So that's super excited. Yeah, super excited. That's good.
My family and I really like it here, and it allows us to stay. So all the kids are excited, my wife's excited, I'm excited, so that's what it's about, right? I am, yes, I will be, yeah. Oh, that makes sense though, actually. I think he was moving up anyways, to the older grade. Yeah. I do, I've always have. Yeah, I have an acreage by Violet Grove for the last 7 years. There you go. I don't cause any issues, do I? Yeah, when I moved here, well, I'm a farm kid from by Rocky, so when I moved here, I said, this is probably where we're going to stick around for a while, so I bought an acreage out by Violet. We like it out there. It's quiet. I do appreciate the low taxes and the tax rebate, yeah. Yeah. No, that is true. I did have a grizzly in my yard last spring, but that was right after the fire, and he was looking for a place to go. He thought my garbage bin was quite nice. But I actually do appreciate that close to nature, though, because I get lynx and black bears in there, too. And it's fun. Yeah, they're fun. Oh, yes, that's true. Yes. I have shot things quite a bit, and I have a family friend by Rocky, actually. Pardon? That shot it, or the family friend? That's right, yeah.
Maybe just focus on, what you think is important for us to know.
Certainly, yeah, I did the whole quarterly report, and that's more just for everybody to read. Can be kind of boring, to be honest. But so we've remained committed. One of the big things for myself, especially taking over, is I want to remain committed to community involvement. So we made sure we're out at the pancake breakfast at the airport. We remain committed to our school resource position and the work he does there. The other things I'm going to push heavy is our crime reduction strategy. When I started here, I was in charge of our plainclothes unit, and we really kind of built our prolific offender management program up there, so I'll continue to drive that. So we've been pushing that pretty hard. We're doing lots of proactive stuff, covert stuff that I won't talk about here, definitely not in open, but maybe next session we'll do a closed session when we're kind of done some of these projects. We can talk about it. Yeah, we got lots of stuff on the go. If you have any questions from that community report, our priorities are in there. They may remain kind of focused on property crime and drug trafficking in the municipality, but in the county, it's our property crime. So if you pop up, this is probably, you might have some questions, because when we see red on our stats, red is bad. Red means our stats are going up. So you can see that we still, I give you the last stats for January to July, and you can see we're still up on our persons crime by a lot. Property crime still up 40%, which makes our total criminal code up 33%. You guys only get to see this quarterly. If you would have seen the June one, we're up total of like 56% increase, so we've actually plateaued in July. So the stats are starting to trend back to where we want them, which is good. We've been working hard to get a hold of that. I think I talked about last time, Corporal Turner in charge of GIS has attended many industry meetings with our industry partners in the oil field, trying to convince them to report, really pushing our online reporting with them and our callback unit, which means they don't have to take the time to even come into our detachment and provide a statement. They can simply do it online or just phone the callback unit, and it's just stat gathering and just to capture an actual picture of what's going on in our oil field crime industry. And he has been successful in that, and we've seen a big jump in that reporting and lots of use of that callback unit. So that's good, but it does this to our stats, which isn't bad because it's still happening, and we've managed to get a little bit of a hold of it. So I'll just touch base on a couple files. Poplar Ridge is a hot spot for us right now, the trailer court in the county. So in June, we were doing some proactive work in there and managed to recover 2 stolen vehicles out of there. And there is a guy by the name of Jeffrey Miles, who's not from here, but he had moved in there. He was wanted on parole, so he was a parole violator and was in there, and we recovered 2 stolen vehicles and charged him with both those. So he was doing lots of crime in our area. A little while later, Levi Rain was arrested and charged with a stolen vehicle. You guys might know that name if you've read around. He's been around here forever. He's a Breton offender. So he was arrested and charged. We have another individual who we've charged, but we haven't sworn the information yet, so I can't say his name yet. But he's been charged with stealing some of our bait property that we had out there, and that was so that our bait property was successful. It also led to breach charges because he was on conditions, and that individual was a suspect in 13 occurrences over the couple months there. So our stats can be driven heavily by just a few property crime individuals or even just problem individuals. We have another individual, I counted up the files, and in the months of, these stats are all from April, it was just April, May, June. That individual was involved in 24 calls for service from one person. So when you look at our numbers, if we look at the actual numbers and you think about 24 calls just from one individual, that can really spike it. Another individual, 14 domestic calls to one house over a span of 2 to 3 months. So they really will drive your stats. So if we look at that, those are 3 individuals, that's over 50 calls, just around 3 individuals in 3 months. So the good side of that is when we get a hold of those people and put them away, then suddenly our stats level out, but they really can be driven by just a few offenders in the county. Yeah, that's really all I got. We continue to be basically, though your person crime stats show up, I don't consider that we have a real problem with person crimes in the county. That is driven by just a few people that have moved out there. That individual with 24 calls for service and that individual was 14, that was all almost, it's either domestic or family issues, and they get scored as uttering threats, but lots of them are not founded or they're smaller files. So I don't, person crime numbers don't concern me too much. Where we're really trying to tackle is that theft under and our break-in and our stats are up. That's mostly oil field, that's not people's homes, but still we're trying to tackle that industry. Any questions?
I'm on the Drayton Valley Library Board, and at the last meeting, the manager did say they're seeing more homeless people that they haven't seen before. Do you have any idea where these people are coming from or how they're getting to Drayton Valley?
That's a good question. We do have a few new people in town. Some of them from Edmonton, some of them from like Wetaskiwin. To be honest, one of the individuals here was brought here. I believe she's a worker and she's brought here to work. Yeah, Edmonton, a little bit. Central Alberta, kind of. There's probably only, like, our main group still are all local individuals. But in the last 2 months, we probably have 3 individuals I can think of 2 right now, 3 that have come from elsewhere. I don't know if they're all still here. We transported one to Pinoka a couple weeks ago to the mental hospital there, but.
Pat Nixon and his story, how he grew up homeless in Vancouver, BC, and then eventually he came to Alberta and started the mustard seed. But the only way he got to Calgary was the RCMP put him, they sent him. They said, you're done here, we're sending you to Calgary. Do you guys do that at all? No?
No.
Just this one case then that this happened?
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's many moons ago.
That was a long time ago, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, no, the RCMP doesn't do that at all.
Okay.
So FCSS for Drayton Valley, the community just in Drayton Valley, their FCSS takes care of all that. And that's there's a new outreach worker there, so I know FCSS at times, if they identify maybe they want to move, FCSS will help them do that and can sometimes provide bus tickets or whatever, but no, the RCMP doesn't do any of that. If we're transporting them, it's for a legal reason and we're bringing them to a destination we have to bring them to.
Thank you. 2 things. I just want to thank you. We're having some issues in an area that I live in right now. You're nodding your head, you know exactly where I live. So the members have been incredibly responsive, so I just want to say thank you. And they've been really quick. Also been really good about letting all the neighbors know when we need to start phoning stuff in and kind of that education piece. So sorry, but not sorry. I think you're getting a lot of calls because I've done a very good job of educating. Even if you see somebody and they're not supposed to be in the area, call it in. So, because if we don't phone it, you guys don't know. So I appreciate it, and they've been really responsive, and they drive down. Actually, I've seen members in my area a couple times, and even if I'm out like weed eating or mowing the lawn, they stop and have a chat with me, and I think that's phenomenal. So. The other thing I had to, and I didn't ask council this before, but maybe just a suggestion and maybe just a bit of an open discussion because I think we have the time today. But in the past, previous staff sergeants had brought new members into council and introduced them. And I understand like they're not always on duty or anything like that, but if there's that opportunity, I would like to see that again, just so we can put some faces to the names and just so we know who's in the community and get to know them a little bit, and they can get to know council, I guess, too, at the same time. And this is now recorded and put on YouTube, and I think it's good for the community to know who's out there protecting them too. So.
Yeah, 100%, I can do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Reeve. Just a question of curiosity, and I was recently in a session about homelessness, and as we know that there's many causes for it, economics, affordable housing, dependency, those sorts of things. I don't know if this would be statistically available to you, but do you know how many homeless here would be considered working homeless?
Ooh, I don't know that, no. FCSS does track numbers in Drayton Valley for that. Lola Strand out of FCSS in Drayton Valley tracks all those numbers. Because, there is multiple levels, and they talk about unsheltered individuals. So I don't want to make up the numbers.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Any other questions?
Awesome. I will provide one update to our building. We're still pushing ahead, trying to put secure trailers on the back just to give us more space in the temporary. So I had the trailer manufacturer out about a month ago. I've got had a site overview done, like site drawing done, and they're working at coming up with a plan for us. So where that goes with the RCMP, I don't know, but we're still pushing ahead with trying to create more space there. So we'll keep you updated as we go. Turn it over to Staff Sergeant Moore.
You okay? You're not sick, are you?
No, I'm good.
You look skinny.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. Yes?
That's a good thing.
Okay. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I was just at a Wetaskiwin County Council meeting. Well, okay. Okay, all right. Well, thank you for having me. I'll try not to repeat anything that the new staff sergeant has said. Congratulations, all right. Yeah, once again, thanks for having me here. Just a little bit of an overview there. So we have had members at the wildfires over the summer. Wildfire season started a little bit later this year, but as we know, it went very badly, especially out in the Jasper area. So we do have those members back now. The other thing that's upcoming, just for your awareness, is going to be the G7 that Canada is going to be hosting in 2025. It was just recently announced the location, so it will be in Alberta. It's going to be down in Kananaskis, but that more information to come on that, but that'll be requiring some of the resources, not only from Alberta, but from all of Canada, as well as probably our municipal partners, as well as the military, in order to be involved.
Go ahead.
Kind of a neat fact, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. Is it either Christian Delisle or is it Jeff Macbeth who is heading the G7 or for the RCMP?
Oh,
it's one of those two members, and they're from, actually, they both spent time here.
Yeah, Jeff Macbeth for sure.
Okay, that's who it was. I was at the new deputy commissioner swearing in, and I couldn't remember which individual told me, but it would have been Jeff, but then it was Jeff, yeah. Exactly. So really exciting, super cool. He was corporal level here when he was here, so that was really neat to hear too. So he's pretty excited.
Yeah,
so, cool.
Yeah, he was just, it was just named there probably in the last week. He just started actually. So he's on one of the main organizers on that planning committee. So he was seconded from his position. He was the officer in charge of the Leduc detachment, and is now going to be posted into that down out of the Calgary area. But that will require a number of resources, like I said. The actual date hasn't been announced yet for that. It's probably only going to be 2-3 days long. This year it was held in June. Not sure when it's going to be held next year. I would suspect sometime around then, but it will require resources to be pulled for a significant period of time, probably before that, but more information to follow. I just want to touch on the priorities that were set. 3 priorities based off the information that came from people like yourselves, different council meetings that I attend, different community events. And the first priority there was crime reduction, property crime specifically. What we do is we do try and manage the prolific offenders as best we can. So over the past quarter, we did 74 checks, and hotspot checks were a little over 4,000, which is just members in fully marked vehicles driving around. Our prolific offender checks are a little bit lower, but that's because we had a few of our prolific offenders that were in custody, and once I get to the stats there, you'll be able to see that that's had a positive effect on the crime. So once again, when they're out, we'll be checking them, and when we find that they're committing some crimes, then we'll just try and do our best to put them back into jail, and that'll has a significant effect on the crime, not just in my jurisdiction, but also Drayton Valleys and the surrounding detachment areas. The second priority was going to be community engagements, like coming out and seeing people like yourselves there. So I had done 3 council meetings. I have a number of those planned. Like I said, I just did one this morning, another one here. So I'll be increasing those here in the next quarter, this quarter. And then town hall, that's to be, we still have to arrange for that, but that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. So as soon as I have that, I'll be able to pass that along there to Lee and make sure that everybody's aware of when and where that'll be taking place. The third priority is going to be traffic. Check stops, we completed 11 of those, and then the violator contacts, 65 of those. So those are just proactive checks that we're have our general duty members that are involved in. I did send a few members now on just recently on a laser radar course, so that should assist there in order for them to be ensuring that speed's being monitored out there on the highways. So those numbers I expect those to increase over the next quarter. I'll just touch base on the stats here. I got the Thorsby stats and the Breton stats, but they're both kind of in the general trend there. So property crime for the Thorsby area was down 14% this quarter compared to last quarter. The provincial code for traffic was up 21%, but that just means that the members are out there doing more of that proactive, pulling vehicles over, in some cases writing tickets, but in other cases just writing written warnings or even verbal warnings. So it's good just to be out there, visible. When you have the red and blue lights flashing, you never know what crime you actually prevent. We're not able to really quantify that very well, but the more visibility we have, I think that's a good thing, especially out in these rural areas. Staffing-wise, we're doing pretty well. We did have one position that was added to Breton, so that was filled. That's a sergeant position, and Corporal Gillies was the successful candidate, so I lost him from Thorsby, but he's still down in Breton, and he oversees both those detachments as the ops NCO. But that freed up the corporal spot in Brett Thorsby. The hope is that that'll be named here in the next couple of weeks. And then I have one constable position that's open in Breton, and I'm just waiting for a recruit to be named from Regina, so we'll wait and see when that happens. But on the admin side, we have all of our positions that are filled. So staffing-wise, we're doing very well. I guess the Breton stats there, I guess I touched base on the Thorsby ones, but this quarter compared to last year, same quarter, we were down on the property crime 5%. And like I said, I think that has to do with just having a few of our prolific offenders that happen to be in custody during this period of time, which does have a positive effect on the stats. But as Ryan indicated there, we are trying to continue to push, especially the oil industry, in order to provide us with information on any crime that might be happening, because I think, as I've spoken about in the past, yes, it'll increase our crime stats. The crime is happening anyway. We just want to know about it because we're able to utilize that data in order to determine where best to put our resources in order to ensure that we have we can target these prolific offenders or these offenders that are affecting those areas. So once we have the stats, then we're able to use our analysts, able to pull that data, times of day, days of the week, those type of things, geographical area, in order to ensure that we have our members out in the area where they need to be.
That isn't any different than BSE or COVID. The more you test, the more cases you're gonna find.
Exactly.
And the more you check, the more stats you get, just the more you're gonna get.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, and I've pushed it there, brought it up numerous times in the past, like just even, Kara had mentioned there too, like we want the public to be getting involved. We want them to be calling in, not just the oil companies, but when you see anything that's suspicious, those type of things, like we've had numerous calls just in the last week there. Some have resulted in us, making arrests, and others, people have a legitimate reason for being in the area, but only you as the people who reside in these areas, and these, especially these remote areas and stuff, you know who should be there, who shouldn't be there, and who looks out of place there. So we need those calls to be coming in. And then just a couple of files of significance I just wanted to touch on. One was back on May the 11th. So we responded to a break and enter in progress in Breton. Upon arrival, members located a lone male suspect in a shed on the property. We located a truck nearby that was on fire while this was taking place. That truck was determined to be stolen and linked to the male that was at that property. So as a result, Morgan Hansen, who was a resident of Brazeau County, was arrested and charged with numerous things, including break and enter, arson, possession of stolen property, failed to comply, mischief. So that's just, once again, one of these calls that got called in there. People, instead of just ignoring it, saying, okay, well, this person will go away, they called in. We were able to get there, charge this prolific offender with numerous offenses, and ensure that he's being held accountable the best we can on our end anyway. And then the other one, we had a fatal collision, excuse me, down the Alder Flats area on Highway 22 at the intersection of Highway 13. 87-year-old lady was deceased at the scene there. For your information, you probably know it anyway, but when there's a fatal collision or serious injury collision, GPS locations are provided on those collision reports. That information goes to the province, and then that can be utilized for decisions on how the province is going to determine what upgrades or changes need to be made in regards to highways. A prime example would be like Highway 39 and 60. Now you have a traffic circle there, and that's primarily due to just the sheer number of collisions that were happening in that area. Some of these ones, we just had one here a couple weeks ago. It was on Highway 22 as well, on a straight stretch of road. I'm not sure what could necessarily be done there. It wasn't intersection related, but so you'll have those one-offs, but these other ones, that information is utilized by the province for sure in order to determine where the tax dollars are going to go and where road improvements will be made. So that's my presentation. If there's any questions or comments?
Anthony?
Do you, or maybe even as well as yourself, Ryan, do you guys get calls very frequently where someone will say cattle are on the road and because of whatever reason they decide to phone you guys?
Yes.
And is that something that you also encourage, or is that kind of say, go talk to the neighbor whose cattle they are?
Well, I mean, if somebody knows who they are, I mean, then that would be ideal, that we would just be, they would be able to go and talk to them in order to get them off the road. Sometimes it's, and I think for the most part, it's the locals are pretty good with that. They, you know, they know who owns those cattle, or can go and check with their neighbor and find out, hey, is that your cattle or is it somebody else's just down the road? I think in a lot of cases, it's kind of the traveling public that have no links or ties to that particular area, and then they just see that traffic hazard. So we seem to be the catch-all. When nobody knows who else to call, we get called. So that's part of our, that's one of our duties that we have to respond to. But we want to make sure we'd rather be dealing with that than having to deal with the collision. So.
Nobody else? We're all good? Go ahead, Glenn.
So if you guys see an issue with our roads personally or through the detachment, would you let us know that this should be improved or upgraded, or the sight lines caused this accident? Like I see how the province would see it, but what about municipalities? If we have a hazard that we're not aware of and you see it, would you bring it to us, or?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, in a lot of cases, you probably already know a lot of these ones, but yeah, if there's something that we see that would be like, man, that, I'm not sure if the, you know, the county or the town or anything is really aware of that, that maybe their stop sign is partially blocked by a tree or whatever the case is, then, or a limb, yeah, we would bring that to your attention if we felt that it needed to be addressed.
Because I have not been, since I've been on council, made aware of any accident hotspots, right, coming from the RCMP yet. So I'm assuming if there's no news, it's good news, but I
Yeah,
would hope
and
that you guys would reach out if we have an area that needs attention.
And I think in a lot of cases, I'm not sure how Brazeau County would work, is that you would have somebody internal that would be dealing with that. So we wouldn't necessarily say, hey, there's 2 or 3 collisions that happened here. It would be just kind of, like I said, maybe a one-off where it's like that sign got knocked over in a collision. We would maybe reach out to you to say, you probably need a stop sign up there. But that information would be something a lot of counties and towns have somebody internal that monitors that stuff, because the data that's going to the province is available to you as well in order to determine where you as taxpayers and where you're going to put your tax dollars and where should they go, because I'm sure you're getting calls and complaints that are coming in as well saying, well, there's a problem here, or this is an issue. Well, you need to have your facts and figures and your stats be able to, that might be an issue for that one person, no different than it can be for the province, where they're like, I think this intersection is an issue. Well, that one person thinks that, but on a larger scale, you have more important areas to put your tax dollars. So
Thanks.
You're always branching out with those sort of going out on the limb things there about stop signs and be pining away sometimes here. I was gonna say that some of that does go on internally here, as far as Public Works are always trying to come up with some sort of a rating system, but I didn't really think that they should have, you know, accident-prone area, like they say, you know, you see in the towns, you see the little sign, you know, fatal accident here, you know. I think they could use all that information internally when they're bringing forward the roads they think should be done, based on safety, based on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see how I'm lobbying there, Anthony?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you guys deserve it. Take the rest of the day off. All right, motion to adjourn. Anthony?
Move to receive the RCMP reports for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Have we got anything left to do, sir? Was there some motions out of the enclosed yet? Pardon me? Oh, okay. Glenn?
I move to direct administration to work to expedite water drainage at Hilltop Acres and further inquire with legal counsel regarding any additional items regarding this matter.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Were you? Oh, okay. We have one dissenter here. So half of it you don't agree with? So when it's half, you decide to go no. All right. Noted that Dallas said he's opposed. What else we got? What's that? Just to adjourn. Everybody did their timesheets? Huh? Oh, I just did mine over the lunch break. All right, so a motion to adjourn, all those in favor?
You can't make that motion.
Oh, okay. All right. Who's gonna make the motion? Nobody wants to go home. Donna?
I move to adjourn.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous again.